In a small, quiet town nestled between rolling hills and thick forests, there lived a little girl named May. May had big, bright eyes that sparkled like the stars, but those eyes often filled with tears. Despite her kind heart and gentle nature, May felt an overwhelming loneliness. No matter where she went, whether at school, in the neighborhood, or even at home, she always felt like an outsider. At school, the other children played together, laughing and chatting in groups, but May was often left out. She would sit on the sidelines, watching the other kids play tag or hopscotch, wishing she could join in. She tried to approach them a few times, but they either ignored her or made excuses to walk away. It hurt her deeply, and she couldn't understand why no one wanted to be her friend. At home, May spent most of her time in her room. She had a few toys, but they couldn't fill the emptiness she felt inside. Sometimes, she would sit by the window, watching the birds flutter by, wondering what it would be like to fly away from her loneliness. She even talked to her pet cat, Whiskers, sharing her thoughts and feelings with him, but Whiskers could only purr in response. One evening, after a particularly hard day at school where she had been teased for sitting alone, May couldn't hold back her tears any longer. She went to the kitchen where her mother was preparing dinner, and with a shaky voice, she asked,
"Mom, is there something wrong with me? Why doesn't anyone want to be my friend?"
Her mother stopped what she was doing and turned to May, concern in her eyes. She knelt down to May's level and gently cupped her face in her hands.
"Oh, sweetheart,"
she said softly.
"there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are a wonderful, kind, and special girl. Sometimes people don't see the beauty in front of them because they're too busy with other things. But that doesn't mean the beauty isn't there."
May nodded, trying to take comfort in her mother's words, but the sadness still weighed heavily on her heart. Later that night, feeling lost and alone, she decided to visit her grandma. Grandma lived in a small, cozy house at the edge of the forest, where the air always smelled of pine and fresh flowers. May loved going there because Grandma always knew how to make her feel better. As soon as May arrived, Grandma greeted her with a warm hug, noticing the sadness in her granddaughter's eyes.
"What's troubling you, my dear?"
Grandma asked as they settled into her favorite spot by the fireplace. May hesitated, but then the words came tumbling out.
"Grandma, why don't people like me? I try to be nice, but they still don't want me around. I feel so lonely all the time."
Grandma listened carefully, her wise old eyes filled with love and understanding. She took May's small hands in hers and said,
"May, you are a bright light in this world, even if others don't see it right away. People sometimes overlook the best things in life because they're focused on what's shiny and loud. But that doesn't mean you're not special. You just need to be patient. The right people will see your light and want to be around you."
May felt a little better after talking to her grandma, but the loneliness didn't go away completely. She knew her grandma was right, she needed to be patient, but it was hard. Day after day, she continued to be kind to others, even when they didn't return her kindness. She helped her classmates when they dropped their books, smiled at the neighbor when they passed by, and even left little drawings for her parents to find around the house. Still, no one seemed to notice her efforts. One day, as May was walking home from school, she noticed a new girl sitting alone on a bench in the park. The girl had curly brown hair and was holding a book, but she looked lonely, just like May often felt. May stood there for a moment, unsure of what to do. She was afraid of being rejected again, but then she remembered her grandma's words. Taking a deep breath, May approached the girl.
"Hi, I'm May,"
she said with a smile, trying to sound confident even though her heart was pounding.
"Do you want to play with me?"
The girl looked up, surprised by the offer. She smiled shyly and replied,
"I'm Sophie. I'd love to play with you."
From that moment on, May and Sophie became fast friends. They spent their afternoons together, exploring the woods, climbing trees, and making up stories about magical lands and brave adventurers. Sophie was the friend May had always dreamed of, someone who understood her, laughed with her, and made her feel less alone. As they got to know each other, May learned that Sophie had just moved to the town and was also feeling lonely. Sophie had been nervous about making new friends, afraid that she wouldn't fit in. But when May reached out to her, Sophie felt like she had finally found someone who truly cared. Their friendship blossomed quickly. They shared secrets, dreams, and even fears. They spent weekends at each other's houses, playing games and baking cookies with May's mom and grandma. Sophie loved visiting May's grandma's house, where they would sit by the fireplace and listen to grandma's stories about her own childhood adventures. With Sophie by her side, May's loneliness began to fade. She realized that it wasn't about having lots of friends, but about finding one true friend who accepted her for who she was. Sophie made her feel valued, and in turn, May made sure Sophie always knew how much she was appreciated. As time went on, May noticed that she was no longer the shy, lonely girl who sat on the sidelines. With Sophie's friendship, she had gained confidence and happiness. She even started making other friends at school, but her bond with Sophie remained the strongest. They were like sisters, always there for each other through thick and thin. One day, as they sat under their favorite oak tree, Sophie turned to May and said,
I'm so glad we met, May. You're the best friend I've ever had.
May smiled, her heart swelling with warmth.
I'm glad we met too, Sophie. You've made my life so much brighter. I don't feel lonely anymore because I know I have you.
Moral lessons. 1. Patience is key in finding true friendship. Sometimes, it takes time to find the right people who will truly appreciate you for who you are. Be patient and trust that the right friends will come into your life. 2. Kindness always shines through. Even when it feels like no one notices, your kindness can make a difference. It may take time, but eventually, others will see your light and be drawn to it. 3. Your worth isn't defined by others' opinions. Just because others may not see your value doesn't mean you aren't valuable. Believe in yourself, and the right people will recognize your worth. 4. Quality over quantity. It's better to have one or two true friends who understand and support you than to have many friends who don't truly care. True friendship is about quality, not quantity. 5. Everyone deserves to feel accepted. Reaching out to someone who seems lonely or left out can change their life, and yours. A simple act of kindness can lead to a lifelong friendship. If you've ever felt lonely or struggled to find a true friend, remember May's story. Be patient, stay kind, and believe in yourself. The right friend will come into your life when you least expect it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming inspirational stories like this one.